Okay, hi everyone, welcome to this lecture. This time we're going to talk about social media and online communities. My name is Kenny Meesters. I'm teaching the course Management and Information Systems, and part of this course we're looking at how we can use the systems, information systems, to support reaching objectives of an organization. And of course, in these times, a lot of organizations are looking at new opportunities to reach their customers, to make their services available or sell their products. And we teach this course every year, but of course, this time we also wanted to make our lectures available to everyone outside the university, and hopefully there are some interesting takeaways. We previously did a lecture on online collaboration, working remotely, and talked a little bit about virtual communities. So there are other subjects we're going to discuss in this course, like e-commerce, selling products, creating digital services, and customer relationship management. Later on, we're going to also look at a specific domain that is very relevant right now, which is crisis information management. But today we're going to continue a little bit about what we talked about last time, which are digital communities, and then specifically today we're going to look at social media. So today we're going to look at how social media can be, what it is, how to define it, but also how social media can create digital communities. And at the end, we're going to take a little bit of a look at how social media and digital communities play a role in crisis response. What are the challenges there? After this lecture, we'll have a web panel with Martijn Neef from TNO, Cindy Koopse, an author on volunteers, new volunteering, and Kees Boersma from the Free University in Amsterdam, and talk about digital communities, volunteering, and how they integrate and support disaster response. Previously in the last lecture, we already talked about these 5 megatrends that we actually use as a recurring theme throughout this lecture, throughout this course. And one of these, if you look at these trends, a lot of them have to do that are becoming really very relevant right now. Cloud computing allows us to access our applications, allows us to connect to other people, regardless of which device you use. Mobile devices, of course, are very relevant that allow you to use apps to not only use your PC to connect to other people, and of course social media as a platform, as a method to connect to other people. So at social media, we're going to take a specific look today. So our goal today is not to give you a course in being an influencer or how to be successful on social media. In a later chapter, we're going to look a little bit more on how you can use information technologies and build systems in the wider sense to connect to customers. But today we're really looking at the social media as aspect of connecting people and building a online community, and how these communities behave and how these communities work together and come together. And that actually builds on what we said last time. So last time we talked about collaboration. And in the last lecture, we discussed how collaborations are relevant in organizations because they allow people to reach a common goal. And whether your organization is a commercial one, like a company or a firm, or a volunteer organization, or a government agency, or an NGO, collaboration is a key to reaching your goals, because you collaborate with other people, you get to pool your talents, strengths, and ideas. You can complement each other's knowledge, networks, and skills. You can learn from each other, so that builds bigger capacity, competencies within your organization. And because you can specialize in certain tasks, you can outsource things, you can support each other, you increase the efficiency. And lastly, by working together, you create a social cohesion, you create trust, people feel that they belong. So collaboration also builds a connection with people. So it enhances the job satisfaction because people feel part of an organization, they feel part of reaching a goal. So that is the reason why we collaborate, or a few of the reasons we collaborate. At the same time, those collaborations have changed in the last years, because we now have technologies that allow us to collaborate remotely, specifically internet information and communication technologies. We talked before about this transition from Web 1.0, where you were a passive consumer of information, adding things to the internet, sharing information online in digital systems requires specific skills such as programming or hardware like a modem or other kinds of technologies or specific skills. However, with the transition to Web 2.0, that has changed, and now the web is open. You can also add content online. Other people can react to it. So the web has changed for most people from a passive information retrieval to something that they can connect on and contribute to. So that's the transition from Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. So we said those technologies actually have enabled us to do a few different things. We can now work at different places. So if we can work in the same building, or as is happening now, we can work in different places. And then along another axis, there is the difference in when do you work. You can work at the same time, and you can work at a different time. And for example, we've mapped those quadrants out in saying you can work in person in real time, synchronous in person. You can work at the same time remotely, for example, using video conferencing, which is synchronous but remote. You can work asynchronous but in person. So actually you leave a note for your colleague who might show up later. Or you work asynchronous and remote, for example, sending an email to somebody, they might read it at a different time than you send it. So what is the role of social media in all of this? Well, we talked before about these collaborations as part of a organization. So you, for example, within your organization, you reach certain agreements about which tools to use. You have a connection with people, you know your colleagues, or you can find them through a directory. But social media actually expands that reach. So a lot of the technologies are similar. It's Web 2.0, we'll come back to that a little bit later, but it allows people who are not part of an organization now to build a community and form a network. So social media is now allows people that are not part of an organization, that don't have a prior connection, to find each other, connect each other, and establish a new organization, or what we call then a virtual community. So that's something you will see now happening in this time of the corona outbreak, with a lot of social distancing and quarantine a lot. So people that are not connected are now connecting with each other and see if they can form a community, if they can offer assistance and build a relationship where none existed before. Here in the Netherlands, for example, the hashtag Corona Help, which means Corona Help, has been launched, where a lot of people are asking or offering assistance. And so this is the news article from a while ago, March 13th, where people started using social media to offer assistance. So by using that hashtag, people could add information, they could exchange information, make a connection, and then give each other help. They could find each other. So that to me shows the power of social media, that people make these connections. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And like last time, I've marked the topics again with a bit of color, so if you lose track, you can look at the color of the header, and that will tell you where we are in this lecture. So the first part we're going to talk about is technical and social development. So what is behind social media? How did it emerge? What makes it work? How can we define it? The second part we're going to look at is what challenges do we face, but also what opportunities do social media give us to connect with people, and specifically in relation to information management, so to manage information that can help each other. And then in the last part, we're going to take a quick look into the role of social media, and specifically these virtual and digital communities and volunteering during disasters. And we'll look a bit about that using a project that we done at the university in 2016, where we looked at how people collaborate online. Following this lecture, there will be a panel with Cindy Koopsen, author and expert in volunteering, Martijn Neef from TNO, the Dutch Innovation Institute, and Kees Boersma, associate professor from the VU University in Amsterdam, where we're going to do a deeper dive and deeper discussion specifically on the challenges working with volunteers, digital communities, and social media in the time of the corona outbreak. So if you want to do the deeper dive, then stick around and take a look at this web panel.